Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Negro Enterprise. And if I was traveling from the moon to the earth as light, it would take 1.3 seconds. If I was an electron, it would take 2.9 minutes. And if I was a space shuttle, it would take 14 hours. And at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, it would take sound 13 days. A passenger jet, 18 days. A New York subway train at maximum speed, 220 days to reach the Earth. And a human, it would take 9 years to walk from the moon to the Earth. This is His Lordship, and I am your urban attaché. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Great. This is great. This is cool. I like this. You know, I went live by accident. You got to see His Lordship practice behind the scenes. I was just practicing. That is crazy. That is crazy. But it's all good. I didn't dox myself. I didn't sell 30 for 25 by accident. You didn't overhear a conversation in a phone call and a deal going down. Worst case scenario, I just showed my natural sexy self, but I did not expose myself. I thought I was recording and practicing, but I was actually live. Now see, that kind of proves that I take this job very serious, and I take what I do very serious. I just don't hit the button and go live. I actually prepare. It's just a one-man crew. You know, behind me is a sci-fi movie called Space Odyssey 2001. I'm going to be talking about different sci-fi movies from every now and again. And I'm trying something new. I'm using a projector, and film producers use projectors all the time in movies, even today. And later on, I might work on some video stuff where I'm using a projector to create an illusion. Now, the tricky part is not to cast a shadow on the wall where the projection is to ruin the illusion or the effect. And also, the projector shouldn't shine on you unless you're doing a James Bond intro. Now, actually, I can show the projector on my shield to give that sci-fi look, and that's what I'm going for. I am using a wireless mic. I'm using some special lighting to give it a more sci-fi effect, I guess. But behind me, let me see if I can get out the way a little bit. I don't have much camera time. My camera is operating on battery. Everything else is plugged up to the power system. But behind me is Space Odyssey 2001. I don't know if they're going to pick it up, because I've done this before. Even with the audio muted, the sensors catch it and shut the show down. So I am narrating. So hopefully, by me narrating, it shows that I'm using this video footage for teaching purposes. And I'm trying to get my big old head out the way. So I'm leaning back a little bit. Lean back, and do the rock away. So anyway, yeah, his lordship be experimenting with visuals and stuff, but I consider myself a visual artist. I started out a beat maker, or well, I say I started out a musician at 6, but when that hip hop thing came through, I started beatboxing and rapping and making beats, and then I got bored and kept wanting to learn more and more and more and more and keep learning and learning and learning and learning. And now that you could do Wayne's World from the house, I think this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Watching Wayne's World skit on Saturday Night Live, I think. So anyway, there's an obelisk now. There was some monkeys, and all of a sudden, an obelisk came around, and one of them decided to touch it. And when it touched the obelisk, it hit them with some form of intelligence. Now, this movie was produced by Stanley Kubrick, the same producer from The Shining and stuff like that, but this movie came before that. This is from 1968. This is supposed to be America's space program. This movie was based on a book by Arthur C. Clarke, and it's a imposing black structure that provides a connection between the past and the future. And in this enigmatic adaptation of a short story by revered science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke, when Dr. Dave Bowman and the other astronauts are sent on a mysterious mission, their ship computer system, HAL 3000, begins to display increasingly strange behavior, and leading up to the tense showdown between the men and the machine, or man and machine, that results in a mind-bending trek. You see? So, I got the phone up to my face. Let me see if that does anything. Hold on. That adds extra light to my face, so let me see something. I don't like to dox myself. No, it actually adds a nice effect. I like that. Let me see. Nothing. 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 Okay. Excellent. Nothing here. So, I guess people will catch the playback. I don't have much battery time on the wireless camera. I'm using the GoPro Max as my main camera to do this broadcast. Shout out to the one person in the crowd. I'm fresh out, so I haven't been going live for a minute, and I only made a couple of videos. But basically, after the monkey touched the obelisk, they learned that they could use a bone as a tool. They could use a bone to dig. They could use the bone to kill animals, and now they went from vegetarians to meat eaters, you see? And then eventually they realized that they could use the bone as a weapon against each other. You see what I'm saying? And based on the book, this is how they gained their intelligence and went from the evolution as I guess like a gorilla monkey to more of a upright walking creature. So he skips all the evolution of man, and when he throws the bone in the air, the monkey, the bone turns into a space station, and we skip all the way to the future, which in those times the future was 2001. And it's amazing because we're living in 2021. This movie was made in 1968, and we went to the moon for the first time in 1969, supposedly. So like I said, I don't have enough battery power to do this whole movie. We're going to have to do a part two. Now that we got that part out the way, this movie was a propaganda film, okay, to make people believe that it's possible to go to the moon. After this movie was made, I'm sure NASA didn't have any problems getting funds for their space program. As a matter of fact, I don't think we ever had the budget that NASA had for the space program to go to the moon, the Apollo missions. Uh, we didn't have that budget for the space shuttle, I don't think. And, well, I don't know, I'm not an expert. But I know that today's space budget for NASA is a fraction of what it used to be, and NASA is a government organization that does not owe the public anything. They do not have to give the public any information. They do not have to share anything with the public, and NASA is not publicly funded. Even though NASA seems like a very public and friendly, friendly public department of the government, people forget that NASA is the government. Matter of fact, we were preconditioned with Star Trek to believe in space travel and space missions and spaceships. And NASA uses the same logo as Star Trek. And even on Star Trek, you had the space logs that Captain Kirk would do. Space log, Captain Kirk, blah, blah, blah. And then the computer would talk to him. So we've been conditioned to be prepared for Siri and other things like that. Now my camera just went out, but I'm gonna reconnect that camera right quick. So hold on tight. It's a one-man crew. I can walk and talk. I'm gonna mute my mic for a second, and I will be right back. Okay. Okay, we're back, and I know that in most of America it's pretty late. I know that it's probably 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning for a lot of people. So it's all good. So now they threw the bone in the space, and now we fast forward to the space station. Now look at this amazing space station from planet Earth. This was a concept in 1968. Now I did not prepare for today's show. I don't have any written notes or anything. This is all off of memory. I'm a little rusty, so let me apologize. If there's some real sci-fi heads that watch this, that's in the house, let me apologize to you right now, because I'm a real sci-fi buff. I love science fiction, but it got to be realistic. It got to be. I don't like a bunch of CGI. I rather have a bunch of stuff left to the imagination. So I like Automata better than I like. What's the other one? I can't think of the other one. It'll come to me. But there was two sci-fi movies that came out the same year. One was like January, February, and the other one was like around the summer or so. But one was way Hollywood with a bunch of CGI and a dance routine. You know what I'm talking about. And then the other one was Automata, starring Antonio Banderas. Okay, one of his best roles. So anyway, I'm standing here because, like I said, I don't want YouTube to flag my channel because of the movie. But look, they're on the plane. There's an ink pen floating in the air. They're on the spaceship on the way to the space station, and that's the stewardess. And look, in 1968, they already had a concept of having movie screens in the headrest. In the headrest, there were movie screens. Okay. Um, Stanley Kubrick was a genius. He thought of everything. Even if you didn't like the storyline or whatever, the whole movie as a cinematic masterpiece. It's a cinematic masterpiece regardless of the movie, and it was very convincing. I mean, if they would have told me at that time when I was a child, I wasn't even born, but if they would have told me, I would have. If they said this was real, there's no reason not to believe it wasn't real. As far as the space station and everything, and they went to Mars, and I mean, they went to the moon in the movie. So anyway, they have this is your regular commercial airline traveling back and forth to the space station for tourism for businessmen. The only thing that we have today that's equivalent to this is CEOs and rich people and handicapped people trying to prove something to themselves, climbing K2, climbing one of the highest mountains. It costs $60,000 to climb K2. Just in case you die up there, your burial is covered. I hate to say that, but the reason why it costs $60,000 to climb this mountain is because you're going to need people to carry your shit back down the mountain. And I literally mean shit, because you can piss in the snow. Now, there's so much piss in the snow up at the top of K2 that the snow is yellowish up at the top of the mountain. And once you pass a certain point, there's no way you could be rescued because the atmosphere is not thick enough for a helicopter. So a lot of people do die climbing K2. As a matter of fact, the head of Google um, died in a rare earthquake. Okay, but he died ironically at base camp from an avalanche. Okay, but this space station concept is amazing. We are nowhere near this space station after all these years, after all this design. Um, a child, let's say a 5-year-old, watched this movie, or a 6-year-old. By the time 2000 came, you would have thought he would have been in a college on his way designing that same space station that he saw at age 6. And by 2020, his concept of the space station, or his ideas along in concert with other people, you would have thought by 2020 we would have this space station. Now remember, this is 1968. We passed 2001. We still do not have a space station on this level. Now, what I love about this part is, first of all, we missed the part where they were eating on the plane, and she bought the pilots. Well, they might show that from when they go from the station to the moon. You're going to see the pilots eating special foods. The stewardess is wearing anti-gravity boots. But right now, they're on the space station, and all the luxury hotels have a hotel room on this station. So I think there's about 3 or 4 luxury hotels. Each hotel only has about 2 or 3 rooms. But look at this. This furniture is just now getting into the airports. This type of furniture. I'm paraphrasing, but the Ritz Carlton and all of that has a room on this ship, and inside your room, you have what we have today is Skype. They didn't have Skype back then. All right. Also, they had IBM tablets. Yeah, they had tablets, and But the way Stanley Kubrick used the projector and stuff like that to create that illusion was amazing. You see? Um, so right now he's going to make a phone call to his daughter. And it's just like a Skype phone call today. And you know what's amazing? He's been to this station so many times. I guess they want us to believe that, but he's been to this station so many times that there's a beautiful planet outside his window of his hotel room. He is not even looking. He's not even paying attention to the view. The view is routine to him. And that's what I like about this movie. Stanley pays attention to detail. Now, in the movie Aliens, he didn't have nothing to do with that, I don't think, but Yosef Kodo was supposed to be a veteran astronaut, and not only a black man had never been to space per se. Black men have been to space to do spy photos, but they only flew in lower space orbit, and at that time they didn't consider that outer space, even though the space shuttle never flew higher than those black pilots that were working for the government, taking spy photos as well as testing high flying and high performance secret jets. So anyway, he's making a Skype call right now. He's talking to his daughter on planet Earth in the movie. And there's a part where one person goes jogging inside the space station, and it's amazing how they created that illusion. And you would think if they could create that illusion in 1968, imagine what illusion they can create today. If they want us to think that people went to the moon or people are on the space station right now, they can make us believe that. The urgency for this movie was that we needed to trump the Russians. We needed to outdo the Russians. So one of the things is to have a black astronaut, but unfortunately Kennedy was murdered, and so that was his only ticket to outer space. And when Kennedy was murdered, the black astronaut was kicked out of the program. Basically, he retired. You know, he knew better because the pilot before him died in an unfortunate accident, which I don't believe was an accident. So we're running low on battery, but I'm just going to continue for a few more minutes. We're going to have to do a part 3. But look, they're chilling. Let me see if I can move out the way somewhere. They're chilling on the space station. And it's very routine. They look very comfortable on this station. They are not worried about anything. They ain't worried about meteors or space debris or anything like that. And then the space station is spinning so they could have gravity inside the station. You see, nobody's floating around. People can walk around comfortably because the space station has created its own center of gravity by constantly being in motion, just like the Earth is in motion. Isn't that amazing? So, yeah, this movie was, even though it's entertaining and it's great science fiction, it's very, very political because they want the public to get behind a space program for going to the moon. And the next year after this movie was made, we made a attempt to go to the moon. So my camera is out. It hasn't cut off yet, I guess. But the battery is dead, like I predicted. Yeah. So anyway, we got up to this part. There's more to this movie. This was really a test. I'm always doing tests. Don't you hate that? But you know, you gotta test in real time. You know, you gotta test on the job. The only way to test it is in a real life situation where you gotta make it or break it. But I hope that people find this live in the morning when they wake up. And there will be a part two because we haven't even got to the political side or the commercial side. Yo, 1 2 1 2 1 2. I I never did a part two. So you know what? As a special bonus feature to today's show, I'm gonna do an exclusive part two, and then I'm gonna upload it again separately. But for this live show, I'm gonna add it to the show. You're gonna get a preview of a video that I was gonna upload today. But I'm gonna give you a sneak preview just for showing up or checking out this show. So that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be real cool. So just let me set that up. Okay, here we go. For those that are in the background, peeping, sleeping, half woke, one eye open, but you got your smart TV on, whatnot. Here's an advanced viewing of a video that I'm gonna post first thing tomorrow. Okay.
Incoming transmission.
Gilmore. Birth given name is Akers. I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video is not until I have nothing to gain. I'll tell you, in 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force, Mexico. Lived in Clovis, New Mexico. The military police. On his deathbed in 2002, burden of what happened. Project Slam Dunk. President Johnson in 1968.
Okay, something's going on with the audio. I'm going to check right quick and see what's going on. Most likely there's some kind of compressor that's on that needs to be turned off. So please stand by while I fix that. Enjoy the visuals as you stand by. This is His Lordship. Might be your first rodeo with His Lordship, so don't trip. Hope you enjoy the show. Just having technical difficulties, which can happen when you're operating with 24 cylinders. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Black Dust in the audience, and I'm just thinking, trying to fix this. Oh yeah, that guy punched. When he was asked to swear on the Bible, he punched the guy. That old man punched the guy in the face, man. But you know, the fact that he lived for so long, the fact that any of those astronauts lived for so long, is proof that they didn't go past the, 1,000 miles from, from sea level. Like they didn't go no further than lower space orbit. There's no way they went through the Van Allen belt. So yeah, there is a noise gate on this video. I'm about to take that off. And there's a filter. I'm taking that off. I'm using the OBS Studio, but I'm using the StreamYard. I mean the Streamlab desktop version of OBS Studio. All right, for you people that's seriously into broadcasting, you know, if you're into broadcasting, you'd be like, oh, okay, and if you not into broadcasting, you'll be like, oh, why he bragging about what he using? This software is free. And I wish more people would be more professional. I could enjoy their show that much more. Microphones and stuff are cheap. I'm using an advanced microphone, but you could get a good microphone for under $40 today. You feel me? So we're gonna start this from the beginning. This is a sneak preview of what I'm gonna post in the morning, and this is very, very important because I kind of believe this. What this guy is telling, what this guy is saying. You tell me and leave a comment in the comment, or wait for the video post. But I kind of believe what this dude is saying here, and his source is his own father, who was a military and all of that. And he said his father never lied to him.
Incoming transmission.
Hello, my name is Gene Gilmore. My birth given name is Eugene Reuben Akers. I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video won't come out until after my death. So I have nothing to gain, nothing to profit by telling you what I'm going to tell you. In 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. We lived in Clovis, New Mexico. He was in the military police for over 20 years, and on his deathbed in 2002, we made a recording of what happened. Project Slam Dunk was the name of this. President Johnson in 1968, okay? In Cannon Air Force Base in 1968, he said by the time he got there, that there was already 2 large hangars that were connected. There was hundreds of dump trucks that came in and dumped sand and stone, and cement powder was powdered over the top of all that to make it look like a lunar landscape. They had men that fashioned it into a lunar landscape, he said. Okay, I've never known my dad to lie, so this all took me by surprise. What's that all about? So anyway, he said that in front of the airplane hangars was pole framing with large canvas tents that was concealing the inside of the staging area. Inside the staging area, on flatbed trucks, was created the lunar lander that was reassembled back inside the hangars. All of the walls were painted flat black, and the ceilings as well. He was sworn to secrecy by the NSA, and they would put him in prison for breaking that oath. When Dad saw the moon landing on TV, he cried. He said he knew that what he had witnessed on TV was exactly what they recorded in that hangar. There was no reason for them to go flying around and everything. They had detailed high-definition photos of the landing area. There was no reason for them to go flying around to a different landing area that almost exhausted their fuel, except for drama, because everything had gone so smoothly. Nothing, so it had to be something. Anyway, Dad was one of 3 guards that guarded the inside of the front entrance. There was a list of 15 people who could enter. No one else was allowed by order of President Johnson. And here is that list, and I gave it to Bart Seibel as well. He checked out a lot of these names, and he says he can verify a lot of these people and what they do. And I come across a couple myself. Anyway, President Johnson, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, Werner von Braun, Robert Emenegger, Gene Kranz, James Webb, Joe Kerwin, Dr. Thomas Payne, Glenn Looney, Dr. Christopher Kraft, Dr. James Van Allen, General Trudeau, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Simon, and Grant Norrie. Now, the only two that I really have information on is Robert Emeniger. Apparently, he did a lot of video work and stuff for the Department of Defense. So the DoD did know him, okay? And the other one was Grant Norrie, Norray, I believe, was to the best of my dad's knowledge, was a like some FBI, CIA, NSA, who knows, something like that. Okay, President Johnson only showed up for the first day of filming. Filming lasted for 3 days, and the entire project was restored to original. In other words, the hangars were all taken apart, the sand was all removed, and so on and so forth. Okay. Dad said there was a lot of building going on at the base, so at the time, so sand and cement powder was never questioned. I can see how they could smuggle that all in within everything else that's going on. Since 2002, I have dug up, I already told you about that, the evidence for the moon landing that I have found. If you go to Google and go to Cannon Air Force Base website, they admit that President Johnson was there. The lunar lander was there. The astronauts were there. I also have verified some of the people on the list were there. I also verified there are a lot of building going on in the base, just as he had told me. And all of this was going on at the same time, on the same date. Dad told me all these things father to son. He also told me not to ever tell anyone what he had said, but he said on his deathbed that he had to tell somebody before he died because it was just too important not to tell. That's about all I can think of. My dad, he raised me by the book. I know he didn't lie to me.
Okay, y'all. I'll be back on another time. You know, I got orders of intros and stuff stacked ceiling high, so that's why I haven't really been live too often. But thanks for coming through. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you catch the replay if you missed the live. Is that last video. I'm going to post that separately, but you got a sneak preview if you catch this live. Make sure you share this, hit the like button. Thanks for rolling through. You know what I'm saying? Blue Wrench Gang, where you at? We don't use our wrenches. It's more like a fashion statement. It's like when you got to wear a blazer at a gentleman's club, but you left your blazer at home, so we go into our closet here at the club and hand you a blazer to put on while you're here. And think of it that way. So, His Lordship, I think we're done here. Till next time. I don't think I got a funky outro, but let me see. First I need to make sure when I come back here, things don't go wrong when I come back. You always got to cut stuff off. Oh, there we go. Make sure that video is off so when I come back, make sure, let me see, make sure that's off. You know, you got to cut the lights off when you leave the shop. You feel me? See what we got here. Do I see anything cool here? What? What is? Oh, okay. Anyway, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm trying to look through this long list of options. Okay, I see your text on the screen. Oh, that is cool. Always love your. Thanks, Black Dust. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. It says Hollywood intro. Let's see what this will be our outro for the evening. So I'm gonna click that.
Suspended animation of a gray expansion casting shadows over the sun. Somewhere in the river of timelessness, we have died. It has happened already.